Hello, everybody. Today we are going to continue with our previous topic. Remember, we talked about phrases. We talked about the definition of a phrase, and of course, we gave out some examples of phrases. So today we will talk about the types of phrases. Basically, if you remember in our previous lessons, I told you that I will only talk about three types of phrases. Namely, we have what we call an adjectival phrase. We also have what we call an adverbial phrase, and of course, the last one is a noun phrase. So today, we will talk about an adjectival phrase. First of all, what comes to your mind when you hear the term or the word adjectival? Of course, it is adjective because the word adjectival comes from the word adjective. First of all, what does an adjective do in a sentence? If you remember in your grade 7, the first topic that you were taught was parts of speech. Remember the 8 parts of speech in English language: noun, pronoun, adjective, adverb, and so on. So, what were we told during that discussion or during those lessons? Remember, our teachers taught us adjectives. And what did they tell us about adjectives? Now the question is, what are adjectives? So basically, an adjective in a sentence tells us more about nouns or pronouns. An adjective in a sentence describes or qualifies a noun or a pronoun. That is what an adjective does in a sentence. Example in a sentence, if I say, I bought a red car. I bought a red car. Now, if you look at this sentence here, there is an adjective which is red. The word red here is describing the car, which is a noun. So an adjective actually describes both a noun or a pronoun. Example also, my sister is a slim girl. You can also see that in this sentence there is an adjective which is the word slim, which is describing the noun girl. Slim girl. So basically in English language, adjectives modify, qualify, describe nouns or pronouns. That is what adjectives do. Now basically when we talk about adjectival phrase, remember we talk about a phrase. We said a phrase is a group of words that do not actually make a complete sense. Group of words that do not make a complete meaning, or a group of words without subject-verb combination. That is what a phrase is. An adjective describes or qualifies a noun or a pronoun, while a phrase actually does not have the combination of a subject and a verb. Now, let us talk about adjectival phrase. What is an adjectival phrase? An adjectival phrase is a group of words that behave like an adjective. We are talking about now a group of words. That is why we have what we call adjectival phrase, or we can call it an adjective phrase. An adjective phrase is a phrase or a group of words that function or that act or that behave like an adjective. What are we trying to say? What we are trying to say is that if you look at these group of words, they are focusing on a noun. Now, in that case, if we see that these group of words are actually focusing on a noun, then those group of words becomes what? An adjectival phrase, because they are focusing on a noun or a pronoun. That is why I have 3 examples here. But basically, an adjective or an adjectival phrase is a group of words that function as an adjective, or that function like an adjective. They behave like an adjective. That is what an adjectival phrase is. Let us look at what the board tells us about the definition of an adjectival phrase. An adjectival phrase is a group of words that function as an adjective in a sentence. You see, it is a group of words that function as an adjective. That is what these group of words do in a sentence. The group of words are underlined, and if you look at them as a whole, they are focusing on a noun. They are actually telling us more information about a noun. That is why it says it gives more information about a noun or a pronoun. That is what an adjective does in a sentence. It gives us more information about a noun or a pronoun. Now, basically, if you look at these three examples, here are three examples. Example number 1 reads, "The dogs with mud on their paws are not allowed upstairs." The dogs with mud on their paws are not allowed upstairs. Now, let us look at the words underlined. That is our main focus here. This group of words underlined, they are what? A phrase. This group of words are what? A phrase. Because the subject and the verb are not part of the word underlined. You can see the subject of the sentence, which is the dogs, and the verb here are not allowed, which is a phrasal verb. But now our main focus is on this group of words underlined with mud on their toes. Now this group of words underlined is an example of an adjectival phrase. Why do we consider this group of words as adjectival phrase or as an adjectival phrase? We consider it an adjectival phrase because they are focusing on the noun dog. Because this group of words are focusing on the noun dogs. Because it is the dogs that is with mud on their paws. So if I read here, the dogs with mud on their paws, if I ask you, what is with mud on their paws in this group of words? You will tell me it is the dogs. Therefore, this group of words, they focus on the noun. This is why this group of words are considered as what? An adjectival phrase. Now, since we identify this as an adjectival phrase, now the function is here, which is the dogs, because now the next question they will ask you, remember they will ask you, what is the grammatical term used in the expression above? Let's assume that these are the words underlined in a particular passage in your exams, either Gabeke or WAS. They underline with mud on their paws, and they ask you this question, what is the grammatical name given to the expression above? And now the second question would be, what is its function? Now the grammatical name here is that this group of words, we can call them an adjectival phrase. Now the function here is that it qualifies or it modifies or it describes the noun dogs. Because it is giving us more information about this noun dogs. Because the dogs are with mud on their paws. It is not an adverbial phrase, it is not a noun phrase. We can also call this a prepositional phrase. Why should we call it a prepositional phrase? A prepositional phrase is a phrase that begins with a preposition. If you look at here, the first word here, with, this is a preposition. You can also call it a prepositional phrase. Adjectival phrases can be called prepositional phrases if they begin with a preposition and they are modifying a noun. Now, the second question or the second example here is, I met students from well-to-do families. Now, the words on the line are these: well-to-do families. They are the words on the line. We do not have the subject-verb combination in the words on the line. Of course, you can see the subject here, which is I, and the verb is met. Okay? There is no verb here. Do not tell me this is a verb. This is not a verb. This is what we call infinitive. We call this verb infinitive. What is infinitive? Infinitive is a verb that is preceded with the preposition to. You can see to here. So when you see a verb, so before the verb you have a preposition. This preposition to, that is what we call infinitive. So therefore you don't have the finite verb. The finite verb is here, met. So this is a phrase. Now if I ask you the question, who are from well-to-do families? You will tell me it is the students. The students are the ones that are from well-to-do families. This is why we consider this group of words as what adjectival phrase, because they are focusing on the noun students. They are giving us more information about the noun students. So we say, I met students from well-to-do families. Who are from well-to-do families? You will come and tell me these are the students. Therefore, this is an example of adjectival phrase, and the function is that it qualifies the noun students. It qualifies the noun students. This is how we answer adjectival phrases. You have to look at the words on the line. What are they talking about in the sentence? What are they focusing on? Their focus is on this. If it is a noun, then it becomes an adjectival phrase. Now, the third example here, it reads, Anna is a woman of a gorgeous style. Anna is a woman of a gorgeous style. Now, this group of words are actually also a phrase, adjectival phrase, because who is of a gorgeous style? You will tell me is the woman. Anna is a woman of a gorgeous style. A woman of who is of a gorgeous style, you will tell me is the woman, and woman is a noun. Therefore, this is also an adjectival phrase. See them, they begin with preposition here. Of is a preposition and from is a preposition. We can also consider three of them as prepositional phrases actually. If you cannot know, like let's say if you don't know this an adjectival phrase, look at the first word. If the first word is preposition, just call it a prepositional phrase so that you will not have both the grammatical name wrong and then the function wrong. At least half one of the two, right? Half one of it. Either the other one or the other one. If you cannot remember this an adjectival phrase, just call it a prepositional phrase because it begins with a preposition. So, like here, we said, of a gorgeous style, the woman is of a gorgeous style. Therefore, this is an example of an adjectival phrase. So, the function is that when they ask what is its function or what does it function, then you say it describes or it qualifies the noun woman. So, this is what we call adjectival phrases. So an adjectival phrase is a group of words that function, that act, or that behave like an adjective. They are actually a group of words that actually modify, qualify, or describe either a noun or a pronoun. Basically a noun, but sometimes they do also describe a pronoun. It depends. If the pronoun is the one that the group of words actually are modifying or describing, then we can consider it to be an adjective, because adjectives also modify of course pronouns. So this is what I have for you. I will give you some exercise, or let's say some quiz in our next lesson. Thank you so much. This is what I have for you. So our next lesson we will maybe talk about adverbial phrases. Thank you so much. Goodbye.